Hello there, welcome to Twisted Threads. Tonight we've got another episode of Reflections of Purpose. As I mentioned earlier when we launched, this is going to be a 3-day-a-week venture, and so wanted to get on and give you some points of purpose and inspiration. And so Reflections of Purpose are just 5 to 10 minute videos hosted by Twisted Threads, and we're excited that you decided to join us this evening. And so now it's evening. We never know when these things are going to be shared with you all, but glad that you press play. That's number one. Number two is if you can visit our YouTube channel and subscribe, like these videos. Feel free to leave comments. We just want to be doing the things that are impactful and inspirational in your life. So, our topic for today, time to ditch the line. It's time to ditch the line. And so we want to talk a little bit tonight about the order of things and how important timing is, but also how to advance ourselves when we think about timing. So I'll start a little bit with the story ditch. You know, back in the day, you know, a long time ago when we actually used to go outside, before video games and things of that nature, we would go out and, you know, if we were online, if we were in school or class, but with our friends, you know, we would always say, if somebody got in front of you, you'd always say, don't ditch me. You can't ditch the line. You got to get back in the back and wait with everybody else. Well, in this season of favor and not just transformation, but pushing forward, it's time for us to ditch the line. So what does that mean in our lives? Well, first we got to get some things in order. And so the order of things, biblically, we talk about there's a time for everything and a season for everything. And so when we think about getting things in order, sometimes we've got to just give ourselves an opportunity to take the time to dream, to take the time to think about what do we want our legacy to be. So today had just a short conversation about things that I'm trying to do and a friend of mine also. And we said, you know, we're trying to do things that will last longer than our time here on earth. See, that's what a legacy is. That's what legacy building is. But when you talk about it's time to ditch the line, that was an intentional thing. So I'd be like, okay, well, I'm waiting too long. I'm about to ditch the line. Why? I'm going to go up front. Or maybe I don't ditch in front, but I'll get to second or third or something like that. But when we think about time to ditch the line, it's an intentional decision. It means that you know that you're ready to be next. And so you kind of remove obstacles out of your way. Now, if you're in a line, the obstacle may be the person in front of you. If you're in a car, the obstacle may be the car in front of you. But the important thing is that we understand that there is an order of things. And as we know that there's an order of things, that means that we've got to be setting life goals for ourselves. What do we want our legacy to be? What do we want to set? We want people to say about us after our time here on earth is done. A lot of times in the past, I talked about how we can set goals and the things that we're doing during our living years and you know, our time is now. These are all important things because we want to be impactful during our lifetime. But when you realize that what you do today is bigger than you. So 40 years from now, I may or may not be here. You may or may not be here, but we've got children and perhaps grandchildren and aunties and cousins and people who will be able to say, you know, that Karen, she was this. That Leslie, she was this. That Suzette, she was this. And then we get to say, Karen's kids were this and Karen's grandkids. And so that is what I consider taking time to focus on what you want your legacy to be. So when you're thinking about that, you're setting goals, and some of them may be, well, I want to purchase a home. Normally, you're not just purchasing a home for yourself. Maybe you are. Sometimes personal items like a car or other things, the jewelry, those would be personal items. But when you think about something that may or may not take you 30 years to pay off, that's a legacy building thing. And so when we think about those steps, sometimes it's education. It's about instilling in our families and our children the importance of, you know, supporting social justice, supporting those who are less fortunate, always supporting the underdog. You hear me say that often. But it may be because I've a lot of times been in the position to have favor where other people may not have had it. And so we have to think about that. But when you're setting your life goals, you understand that there's a prerequisite for something. So you can't just go and say, hey, I want this, you know, $500,000 home and you have no money. The prerequisite is you should have saved some money. You should have made sure you built up your credit. You should have made sure that you had some creditors that could even talk about how you pay your bills all the time, on time. You should have paid your bills on time. So prerequisite prerequisite is something that is pre-required. We hear that a lot in college terms where they say you have to take this course before you are eligible to even step into the next. How about that? That's very important when we think on the college side, but even outside of college in our life, there are things that we have to do in order to open up the door of opportunity for that next thing. So I've already said be intentional. I've already reminded you that timing is important. But also, we've got to remember that timing is also important for when we may have to hit the brakes. So I often talk about, I drive a pretty large car. It's not an SUV or anything, but it's a Chrysler 300. So that's pretty large. So I always get upset when people kind of try to cut me off, because it's not so much that I don't mind you getting in the line. So you got to be intentional even when you say you're ditching the line. Be careful, because whoever you need to cut in front of, they may not be expecting you to move forward. So you got to be able to shift. And I say it all the time when people cut me off. I'm like, it takes a lot to stop this Chrysler. So I need you to be mindful not to just think about, oh, well, I really want to beat this light. No, you really want to stay alive, because this Chrysler will literally smash into you. And then what? And then we've got a whole nother set of problems. But when we talk about setting goals and the prerequisites, thinking about how long it takes to hit those brakes. If your stop is the next stop, if you ever taken the bus, you got to hit the little string and then it lets the driver know you about to get off. Well, there's some people in your life that you got to let them know, I'm about to ditch the line. And some of that might be your family. It may be, hey, look, I'm not going to hold on to the values of poverty that we've lived in all of these years. It may be even your church home to say, I'm not going to be stuck in a religious mindset. So our first reflection, we talked about losing your mind, literally losing your mind of the old thoughts and the things that you had. When you think about that, you got to think about, are you busy? What are you making yourself available for? I love it because my 7-year-old granddaughter, she always comes in and she calls me and she's like, Mimi, are you busy? Look, if I'm awake, I'm busy. But I've taught her on how to say, are you available to talk to me? So now, we have whole conversations because TT, she's just a whole nother level of a mature little halfway between toddler and adolescence, all of that stuff. But you make the time for the things that you want. So if you had a part-time job, you would take 3 to 4 hours an evening to work on that part-time job. You got to give yourself the same benefit. Be a part-time employee in your own life, a part-time employee in your own destiny, until you can become that full-time person. So Twisted Threads is a venture of mine. It's something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, working on, and trying to figure out how we can connect with you to make sure that we are inspiring, impacting, and transforming your life. You got to know what to say no to. No, your no allows you to say yes to the things that you really are passionate about. So for every no, there should be an equal opportunity for a yes. And when you think about those yeses, they allow you to open yourself and your availability to other people. So I've said some things about it's time for us to ditch the line. Hopefully you were inspired by that, but now we got a little bit of homework. So if you're on a diet, your nutritionist will usually tell you, write down all of the foods that you eat, write down the measurements. And part of that is because what you measure are the things that you're focusing on. And if it's not getting measured, odds are, if you just eating any old thing, you eating that donut, you eating that cake, you eating that, you drinking that slushy, all of those things. And then you're like, how come I can't fit in my clothes? Well, if you paid attention to what you're eating and the intake, then you get to push forward. So the homework for this time is we really want to talk about killing the time stealers. And that's going to be our next episode, talking about killing the time stealers. So how do you know what time stealers are? You got to write it down. Write down and make a chart of how you spend your day. And after you make that chart, do it for 1 or 2 days. We'll be back on Friday. So if you do it all day tomorrow and you do it sometime on Friday, or however you get this homework done, you really want to write down, how long am I on Facebook? How much time am I spending watching all of my shows? How much time do I spend shopping, binge watching, cooking, eating, running after the kids? Whatever it is, write it down. And then what you want to do is have 2 columns. And in those 2 columns, you want to talk about, and you just want to mark You got a column for investment and a column for distraction or negative influence. And so with those two things, what you want to do is highlight and identify each of the line items that you have for how you spend your time. When we come back on the next time, we're going to talk about time stealers and time management and how that's going to help you. So look, again, list your time stealers by the start of the list to show you how you spend your time. You may not even be aware that you're on Facebook for an hour a day or 2 hours a day. You may not even be aware that your favorite television show is going to be on and you watch, you know, we got Empire, or maybe on Thursdays, you watch the whole Shondaland. Some of that you're going to have to minimize, or maybe if it's only one day a week, that means no more television. So no TV on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. I don't know. I got 2 shows. One of them no longer on the air. So right now, I'm good. I have time to invest. And we want to make sure that you have that time to invest in your future, invest in your family, and most of all, invest in yourself. I hope that when you write down for the 10 to 15 minutes that you spent with me listening to my videos and going and subscribing and liking on our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, Twisted Threads, all of those things, you will mark it in your investment column, because we hope to be seen as an investment that you take for your own time. We're excited. We will see you again really soon. Our next episode will be on Friday. Thank you so much for pressing play. Please share this. Allow your friends to know what's the reason why we're here. We're here. This is Reflections of Purpose. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.